Hey everyone, Rob here from Daisho Tactical, and today we're going to be talking about using cover on your support side, otherly known as your weak side, or I like to say less strong side. So obviously, ideally we'd prefer to use cover on our strong side, so I'm right-handed. I would prefer to shoot around the right side of a piece of cover whenever that's available to me. But sometimes it's not, especially in CQB. Oftentimes we got to use cover that is on our support side or our weak side or less strong side, whatever. And there's always a compromise. Okay, so no, anytime you're shooting around your support side, you're compromising something regardless of what technique you use. The first and kind of the easiest method, and honestly the one that people use most often, is they just use their standard shooting platform. So for me, right-handed, weapon on my right shoulder, and they just lean out really far. And when you do that, it's going to expose a lot of your left side, your left shoulder, your left chest, left side of your head. It's just going to expose a lot of your body when you're out there trying to use that angle. It's not ideal. It's kind of hard on your back. It's especially if you're not terribly tall. I'm not the tallest guy in the world. I'm only 5'8", so it is kind of uncomfortable to shoot that way. I got some videos I'm going to throw in here, examples of all these on the range and how they look. The advantage of sticking with your dominant shoulder, dominant hand, is that it's what you're used to. It's your bread and butter. It's what you've been training with, and nothing's changed. Same hand pulling the trigger, same thumb operating the selector switch, so everything's fine in that respect. But it does expose a lot of your body, and it can be a little uncomfortable. The next technique we're going to talk about is center stock. Center stock is basically, instead of having the weapon here on my right shoulder, I'm going to move it kind of more to the center of my chest and kind of lean out like that, and I'm going to pick up my dot with my dominant eye right here. When you do that, it exposes your left shoulder and your left chest less than it would if it was over here. So it's just less exposure. Is it awkward to shoot this way? Yeah, a little bit. It's a little bit different. It's not really how the stock's designed to be placed, obviously. But advantages are you're still using your dominant hand, trigger pull, everything, all the functions of the gun are still the same. This can be done a little bit easier if you shorten your stock a little bit. I've done videos on shortening the stock and why I don't think it's a good idea, but this is one of those instances where it can be handy to have that shorter stock when you're using this center stock clearing method on your sport side. So the third technique we're going to talk about is called switching shoulders or swapping shoulders. So traditionally, if I'm shooting like I usually do, my stock is in my right shoulder. All I'm going to do is move the stock over to here, to my left shoulder, to my non-dominant shoulder, and I'm going to pick up the target with my left eye. Now that's my non-dominant eye, because now the rifle's basically on the left side of my face. For me to do this, I have to close my right eye. My dominant eye likes to run the show. And if my right eye is open, it's going to overrule everything that comes from the left eye. What I've found for me is it is extremely difficult, if I don't force this right eye shut, it is extremely difficult for me to pick up that red dot in that optic if I don't do that. You might be different. That's just how I roll. If I can pick it up with both eyes open, it's kind of blinking in and out. It's not consistent. It's really difficult for me to use. It's a great technique because it does minimize my exposure significantly, especially compared to center stock or using my strong side. Also, everything's the same as far as my manipulations on the gun. Same trigger finger, same selector switch, reloads are all the same, everything's the same. So it is very handy for that. It is awkward though. So this fourth technique is a whole can of worms, and that is switching sides. A lot of debate on it. We're going to talk about it. First off, how do we do it? Well, basically what I'm going to do is, here's my strong side shooting position. I'm going to take this stock, put it over in this shoulder, just like I did in the last technique, shoulder swap, but now I'm going to switch hands. This hand goes to the rail, this hand goes to the trigger and the grip. So once again, now I'm basically shooting as I would with my dominant side, but on my weak side. Now, for maximizing cover, this is awesome, works great. The problem is it's awkward, okay, because I'm shooting with my off hand, my left hand that doesn't usually, hit the trigger. Additionally, this weapon does not have a ambidextrous selector switch, which means to activate the safety when I'm shooting this way, I have to do it there to go into fire with my trigger finger, which is not how I traditionally do it. So that's kind of goofy, kind of silly. It's just difficult, and everything is difficult because I'm doing this with my wrong hand. which eye picks up the optic. Once again, just like the last technique, I got to close my dominant eye and force my non-dominant eye, my left eye, to pick up that red dot. Okay? If I shoot with both eyes open, which is how I traditionally shoot on my strong side, I won't see it. That dot is going to be flickering if I do see it at all. So if you are going to try to be an ambidextrous shooter and be able to shoot on your off side, I highly recommend you practice this technique a lot. And I mean a lot. I usually touch on it once a month. I'm going to play a video here of me doing this on the range. All the other techniques I have videos of, I just did them. Okay, didn't have to do lots of practice runs. This one I actually had to do like 6 reps of it because the first 3 were absolute garbage because I just don't train it that much. So now let's talk about how realistic this last technique is, switching sides. I have found in my tactical career of 20 plus years, working around lots and lots of professionals, I have never met one that actually switches sides under stress. Haven't seen it. Online, YouTube comments, Facebook comments, social media, whatever, everybody does it. Everybody's amazing at it. They train it all the time, and it's effortless. If the world ever runs out of Navy SEALs, the government just has to go to the YouTube comments because that's where they're all hiding. My opinion, you're all full of shit, or you're not being realistic about how difficult it really is to do. Additionally, being able to do a technique on the range is very different from me doing it in simunitions, is very different from doing it in a real life and death situation, an actual shooting. And I don't think there's a very large data set of that at all, of people actually doing it real life. I've heard stories about Navy SEALs in training, shoulder swapping when they're doing CQB on every door, but then when it comes to the operation and bullets start flying, that's enough of that shit. Because under stress and fear of death, your body is going to default to that most basic training. And what is the most basic happy place for operating this rifle? Strong hand, strong shoulder. That's what you're going to default to under stress. Additionally, it's important to acknowledge the eye issues. Okay, you're trying to pick up the optic with your non-dominant eye. Is it possible? Can people train this technique and be good at it? I'm sure. Human beings are amazing, and if they train a lot, they can do amazing things. I'm sure that person is out there that can actually swap sides effortlessly and make it work just as well as their strong side. I'm not that person. I haven't put the time in, and to be brutally honest, when it comes from a training perspective, I don't know if it's worth the amount of training time it would take to do that just to address this offside issue in CQB. It's just so rare for law enforcement to actually get engaged. I think that training time can be better spent elsewhere better. As far as the eye issue goes, I don't know, maybe I need to wear an eye patch on my dominant eye for like 3 months to strengthen up my left eye, and then it won't be a problem for me. But for me, I always have a problem picking up that red dot with my left eye. So that's all I got for using cover on your support side. I'm sure there's going to be lots of people in the comment section, lots of Navy SEALs checking in how amazing they are. It'll be good to see you there. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, hit the little bell. You guys know how YouTube works. Or follow me on Rumble, kind of the same thing. Better yet, support my channel by buying some merchandise off my website, daishotactical.com. I sell a variety of slings in a variety of colors. I make them all here at home at my workbench. Thanks for watching.